Hey guys, what is going on? This is your old pal CHH boy. We've got a interesting video today. I do want to mention that I just got back yesterday. I saw Alice Cooper on Tuesday along with Judas Priest. Judas Priest was fantastic, but they were boring to watch on stage. But Rob, I don't know how he sings like that in his early 70s. He sounds phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. Alice Cooper was the best I've seen him. Every time I've seen him, it's been better and better. The show was amazing. He played super deep cuts like Who Do You Think We Are? We're All Clones. He even played Dangerous Tonight, which I'd never heard him play live ever. I'm not saying he hasn't, but it was definitely a deep shot. No Man Behind the Mask. I've yet to hear him play it live. I will see him again. I'm sure I'll hear it live one day, hopefully down the road. But anyway, amazing show. I had a great time at that. We've got some news to talk about, and I feel like I'm going to address somewhat of an elephant in the room. I don't want to come across as negative, but I feel like I've been looking at the comments for this, and it's just been like overwhelmingly positive, and that's great, but I feel like I'm in like Twilight Zone with this, and I want to talk about this. So everybody knows about the classic film Sleepaway Camp. Came out in the early 80s. Now here's what I'll say. I love the original Sleepaway Camp. I was always a bigger fan of 2 and 3, but then I actually got like my first big screen TV, and I know that sounds absolutely silly to mention, but just the context is important. I finally got a big screen TV, and when I did, I watched Sleepaway Camp, and I was pretty impressed by how gorgeous the movie looked and how well done I thought it was. And it really opened my eyes to how good of a slasher film it was. Now, listen, I didn't know that Robert Hitzilk, how do you say his name, the director, that's all he did. It would have surprised me because I thought it was a really well-made film. But then I realized he did another film, and I watched it, and my jaw was on the floor, and not necessarily for good reasons, and we'll talk about that in a second. Well, you know, there's been some recent Sleepaway Camp news, obviously, with the 4Ks coming out from Scream Factory, and many slasher films from that era got remakes in the 2000s. Hell, April Fool's Day got one, Mother's Day got one, The Stepfather got one, you name it. But it's so odd that one of those movies that never got a remake was, yeah, you guessed it, Sleepaway Camp. Well, it's finally happening, and this is what's cool. And no, this isn't the bad part. It's getting produced by Kenan Thompson. You know, now people know him from Saturday Night Live. I grew up with him from Kenan and Kel. That's not my problem whatsoever. I love Kenan Thompson. I actually think he's one of the only truly funny people in Saturday Night Live still. Whoever still watches that, I don't know how big of an audience it has anymore, but I remember watching him with Saturday Night Live for years. I always thought he was funny. That's not the negative. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Bloody Disgusting and read this, and then I'm going to tell you guys what I think is just the biggest elephant in the room with this whole freaking thing. Kenan Thompson to produce Sleepaway Camp remake from original director Robert Hiltzik. All right, here we go. Can Sleepaway Camp work for modern audiences? We're about to find out. Which, of course, anything can work today. It's just make it. Don't ask questions. Just make the damn thing. AFA, the production company of Saturday Night Live stalwart Kenan Thompson and producer Johnny Ryan Jr., Bill and Ted Face the Music, Good Burger 2. Oh, God. Good Burger 2 was not good, and neither was Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted was okay, but has acquired the remake rights to the 1983 slasher, Deadline reports. Robert Hiltzik, who wrote and directed the original cult classic, is back at the helm to direct from his own screenplay. Development on the script is currently underway. Plot details have not been revealed, but Ryan Jr. promises we're going to stay true to the OG while Robert adding in some insane new twists. As Deadline notes, while for decades Hiltzik and his wife have been approached for rights to the franchise, they've held out in hopes of a scenario where they can be involved in revitalizing the franchise. To Thompson and Ryan Jr., whose AFA places an emphasis on keeping creative control and ownership with the artists, keeping the original architects of the franchise at the forefront of its evolution is a given. Again, that right there in itself is not a negative. I actually applaud that. Robinson Velasco, Monica Weber, Corey Litwin, and Boris Schwartz will executive produce. Range Select is handling sales of the product. I am both thrilled and humbled to be working with AFA on the reimagining Sleepaway Camp, Hiltzik told Deadline. Though I have been approached by several companies regarding the remake of Sleepaway Camp, only AFA has shared my vision and is excited to have me helm the film, therefore preserving the integrity of the original film for the fans, as well as introducing Sleepaway Camp to a whole new generation. Be prepared for a new member of the Sleepaway Camp family. Excited to work with the original genius Robert and bring back life to a classic, said Thompson. Keenan and I, as always, were fans, and this couldn't be more in brand for us, added Ryan Jr. I've been obsessed with the Sleepaway Camp franchise since I was a kid. We've wanted the title for 20 years, and we're over the moon Robert came back to write it. Okay, so here's the thing. This is cool. I'm totally happy with the idea of a new Sleepaway Camp film coming. Whether this is going to be a sequel to the original remains to be seen, which brings me to something I want to talk about. There was a sequel to the original Sleepaway Camp film. It was called Return to Sleepaway Camp. Now, I'm going to spoil this in case you haven't seen it. I'm sorry. I probably do some of you a favor. Now, here's what I'll say. I don't actually hate Return to Sleepaway Camp, but it's one of those movies I would be embarrassed if somebody came in on me watching it that was not a horror fan at all, much less moderately a horror fan. It is a terrible film. It's hysterically bad, but it's embarrassing if you watch it with people around you. The only redeeming quality about it, in my opinion, is the great Isaac Hayes, rest in peace. But guess who directed that movie? Robert Hiltzik, the director of the original. Guess how much Robert has directed besides those two movies? As far as I know, not much. My problem with this is this. You guys noticed something that was in that article earlier. Something that was said was very important. A lot of people had approached them to do the project, to get the right Sleepaway Camp film, but none of them wanted his involvement in it. I dare any of you guys to go watch the special features on Return to Sleepaway Camp where you get to see the behind the scenes of him directing. I'm just going to be frank. I have nothing against Robert Hiltzik, and I don't obviously know the guy. This is nothing on him personally. The guy, I'm just going to say it. I think the guy got lucky with the 83 film, and it came out great. Because that luck absolutely ran out in 2003 when he made Return to Sleepaway Camp. It is so piss poorly made and piss poorly directed. His directing style was hysterical. I mean, if you watch the behind the scenes, he looks half drunk, and he's yelling at all the kids, "All right, start screaming and yelling and hollering." And the kids do it. It's just like, wow. Is this how you direct movie? It's something to be seen. My guess is a lot of people didn't want to have him involved for his lack of experience. You know? I mean, the last time this guy directed a movie was 2003. I applaud Thompson and his team for getting the rights to this and doing it, and I'm glad that there's going to be more. But all I'm going to say is, for God's sakes, people, I'm usually the voice of optimism. I really am. I don't like coming on and being negative, but for God's sakes, go in with this with absolute tempered expectations. Unless this movie is shadow directed by the cinematographer, which hopefully is amazing on this, I don't see this being a great directed film. And that hurts me to say. I love Sleepaway Camp, I do, but I can't lie how I feel. It's just one of those things where I just think while it's great to have the original guy involved, in this case it's just like, please get a good director. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know. That's just me. And I think that's the reason why for years you never saw a remake from the 2000s on, is because they were like, we don't want you to direct. You know? So, well, go watch Return to Sleepaway Camp if you haven't. And tell me it's an eighth as good as the original Sleepaway Camp. We'll see what happens, guys. Like I said, I'm just telling you to be cautiously optimistic about this. Don't just jump up for joy because the original director's back. Again, I'm excited, don't get me wrong, to a certain extent, because it's cool. Sleepaway Camp is a classic. But, boy, after seeing Return to Sleepaway Camp, my opinion vastly changed. So that's all I'm going to say about that, guys. So please let me know down below what you guys think. How are they going to change this movie is another question. You know, obviously the big twist in the original is legendary. But what do you do this time? That's the question. What kind of twists are you going to do this time? We'll see. But listen, I mean, I'm going to check it out. I will support it, but I am not expecting, you know, the original Halloween. by any stretch of the imagination. So that's it for this video, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching. Please drop your opinion on this down below, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.